community resident. You guys have expressed to us in the past that you wanted to hear from the community about the future of the Gowanus Canal in order for you to effect a cleanup that would be appropriate for that future. I was hearing things tonight, though, about the extent of the pollution in the lowest levels of the pre-existing sediment that kind of raised concern for me in those regards, and also that the most polluted section, this middle section of the canal, the public place site, where this community knows is already slated for development. I haven't heard the solution in terms of barriers that would make that either stop the pollution from continuing to come into the canal or make it safe for development. And I'm wondering if you guys can point us to a successful example of a manufactured gas site that was contaminated to that degree that was then repurposed for that density of housing.
I would like to say that you mentioned about the bottom of the canal you're concerned, and I will have to say I'm concerned. As an engineer that is responsible for cleaning up the canal, I'm seriously concerned. We said that there were no surprises in the canal, and that is true. There were no surprises. What I was looking for some pleasant surprises. In other words, some cutoff of the contamination, and I didn't find them. So we have to think the team of solutions to that problem. So what are we aiming at? What we are aiming at is to, remember we said the goal of the EPA is to reach 1 in a million, level of carcinogenic risk. That will never be able to be reached. I've come to the conclusion looking at the data, it will never be able to be reached by simply dredging. So what we will have to do is we will have to isolate that contamination at the bottom from coming in contact with the sediment that to which the aquatic life will be exposed and to which water and humans will be possibly exposed. So we will look at stabilizing the bottom. So that will be one approach. Regarding the MGP sites that you mentioned, personally, I have serious concerns about. Serious concerns. This is something that has to be looked at very carefully. And we are talking with New York State. Gardiner Cross is right there. He wants to talk about it. We are talking to New York State, and we'll continue talking to New York State. What is the best solution to that site? Because there's a lot of mass of contamination sitting in there, wanting to get into the canal. So we better have a good solution in there. Gardiner, do you want to?
Yeah, if I could jump the line here just a second.
Yeah. So Gardiner Cross is with New York State. He has worked at the MGP sites before. Presently he's a section chief managing the project managers that work there.
I wanted to point out, we're, as Christos has said, we're on all three of these MGP sites now. The most critical one is the one in the middle, Carroll Gardens Public Place. It goes by several different names. You're all familiar with it. That site is indeed bleeding coal tar into the canal at low tide on an almost daily basis. We recognize that. We do indeed believe that site can be redeveloped safely, and an obvious component of that redevelopment is that we have to stop the discharge of tar into the canal. There are techniques available for doing that. That particular site, because of the bulkheads and the presence of sewers there, is a real challenge, but it can be done. And as for the earlier question of whether this has been successfully done elsewhere, yes, indeed it has.
Where?
The west side of Manhattan. If you drive up the West Side Highway, that building that's built with the curved walls, it's Barry Diller's headquarters for his media empire. That sits on top of a consolidated Edison MGP.
That's not residential.
It was quite a nasty piece of ground when construction started there. And that site has been in full use now for several years. There's ongoing monitoring to demonstrate that there's no exposure to the people in the building. And other parts of that continent site are being redeveloped basically in the same line here. Dig as much as you can and construct underground barriers or conduct soil stabilization to keep the stuff from moving around in the subsurface. So it can be done, it has been done. It's a real challenge to do, but it's obviously a challenge that we need to step up to the plate and take care of. So I'll step down now.